least favorite subject?
All right. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit today about something you've all been engaging yourselves in, whether you realize it or not, and that's lifelong learning. And for those of you who don't know, my name is Joe Dotz. So I want to start off with a question. So what are the benefits to lifelong learning? So just for a little background, so what is lifelong learning specifically? Lifelong learning was quoted by the Connecticut's official state website as the ongoing, voluntary, and self-motivated pursuit of knowledge for either personal or professional reasons. And it's not just learning, your very basic schools. It's not just elementary, middle school, and high school. It's engaging through college. It's engaging through extra classes you can take. It's engaging in extra hobbies or interests. It's not just the typical learning that you're thinking of. And it's proving to have a lot of benefits. It's got a lot of mental and physical health benefits for personal reasons. It's got a really high professional benefits as well, and it also is really necessary for almost every career. So a little bit about personal development. It's got a lot of benefits, like I mentioned. Specifically, it improves your mental and your physical health. And it's got the potential to introduce yourself to more people, which therefore would hopefully introduce you to even more hobbies. So in a study published in the Oxford Review on Education, conducted by Kathy Hammond, she noticed that wealthier countries typically had a better mental health state than poorer countries. She took a sample of 145 people, and 100% of these people said they had higher self-confidence after engaging themselves in lifelong learning in some way. And one of her participants specifically said that after her husband had left her with 3 kids, she was really depressed, and eventually she started taking some courses. And one of the courses ended up helped her realize that one of her kids had a developmental problem. So she ended up being able to seek help, and not only did lifelong learning benefit her, but it actually benefited the child because it helped her realize that he needed help, and she got the help that he needed. So a little bit about the physical health side. It's being able to introduce yourself to new hobbies, interests, like I mentioned. It doesn't have to be strictly classes. Just being able to get you out of the house and moving is key here. I mean, it's just benefiting your physical health overall. In the same study conducted by Kathy Hammond, she noticed that people who engage themselves in lifelong learning were typically more likely to go out to museums or art galleries. And like I mentioned earlier, being able to get out and talk to other people has the potential to introduce yourself to even more activities. So a little bit about the professional development side. Walden University stated that 15% of employers actually find the candidate that fits their needs when they're hiring, which is pretty insane. If you think about that, that means that 85% of people who are in their job position right now, their employer doesn't think they should be there. So several jobs in today's world typically require a higher degree or any form of further education, whether that be a trade school, a technical school, or a college degree. Jessica Keyes from the Better Business Bureau, she mentioned that it also helps through all stages of your job search process. So your interview process, or your resume. If you're taking extra courses, you can put these on your resume, and it gives you that benefit of showing that you're willing to benefit yourself in your own time. It helps with the interview process as well, because extra hobbies and interests could also, might be able to, reach common ground with the interviewer, and that small connection could potentially, put you one step above someone else. And it also can help improve your performance in your job. Going to courses, seminars, the employer is going to send you to some of these things, hopefully. And if not, then you should be looking to put yourself out there and say that you want to do these things, because not only are they going to get more bang for their buck basically with you, but you're going to be able to perform better. You're going to be able to network, and in case of the situation where you would unfortunately lose your job, then you hopefully network with other people, and then you could have a better job variety. So, what skills are required for lifelong learning? So, there are any skills really typically would be considered beneficial in this case. If you're naturally athletic, you're probably going to be better at picking up a sport or some form of hobby, but if you're better with technical skills, you might be better at computer programming or something like that. But it doesn't necessarily matter. It's not saying that you can't do one or the other. It's just one might benefit learning a skill faster than the other. So this just kind of shows that anyone can really participate in lifelong learning. But there are three kind of big skills that people should start working on. One of them is mistakes and being able to learn from them. So, everybody makes mistakes, we all make them, but being able to take a mistake and realize what you did wrong and how you can fix it is going to be the key here. If you can figure out what the problem was and be able to fix it, you're looking at increasing your efficiency, therefore, hopefully, saving your employer money, or even if it's just a hobby or a sport, becoming better at it. So, there's also goals and being able to set goals. So there's nothing wrong with learning small things from time to time. Personally, I always like to, whenever I learn or hear something that kind of sparks my interest, sometimes I'll pull my phone out and search it real quick and put it back in my pocket so later I can read about it just kind of briefly, just kind of when it sparks my interest. But goals should be used for any desired learning opportunity, and that's because when you set a goal, and hopefully when you're reaching it, once you reach it, you get that sense of accomplishment, and hopefully that sparks your motivation to set even more goals and learn even more. Finally, motivation is the last one, and so the problem with a lot of people today is their big argument is that I don't have the time. Why should I really do this? Because is it really going to benefit me that much? But and this is where the problem is, because if you're not motivated, you're not going to try to learn. Even if you're in the class, if you don't want to be there, you're not going to learn. So that's kind of where it comes in, where you need to find something that's important to you, what sparks your interest, and go and run with that. But once you're motivated, you can try some learning tools, some tapes and CDs, or even just listening to podcasts in your free time, and really just asking questions. When you're interested and motivated, typically this isn't going to be a problem, but even in cases where you're not interested in the subject, but if your employer is sending you there, you need to still be motivated and still make an attempt to learn. So lifelong learning in a few careers. So just, so like I mentioned earlier, typically almost every career has some form of lifelong learning. So specifically for engineers, we have to gain an accredited degree from a 4-year or 8-year technical school, and then after that we have to take our fundamentals of engineering exam if you want to get your professional license. After that, you have to have 4 years practicing under a professional engineer, and then you're allowed to take your principles and practice of engineering exam, which is your professional engineer's license exam. So then there's also, I looked into nursing, which there's a bunch of different kinds of nurses. So I focused on one specific one, which is the STNA. And they require 75 hours of learning. There are 3 big ways to go out about getting your license, but the most common path is 75 hours of learning, which is 59 hours in the classroom and 16 hours working in nursing homes. And then once you finish this, then you have to go and take these series of 2 tests, which is your knowledge test and your skills test, which your knowledge is based off of your learning and everything like that. But your skills they take 5 out of 25 different skills, and they test you in a matter of 35 minutes. And then you have to score at least an 80% on that. And then finally, the other one I looked at was teachers, specifically K through 12. You have to gain an accredited degree from a 4-year college. And once you've gained your degree, there are 3 big levels of licensure. Where it starts out, you gain your residential educator's license. After you gain that, you work 4 years at a high school, middle school, or elementary school. And then you're allowed to apply for your professional educator's license. Again, after that, 4 more years, you're allowed to apply for your senior professional educator's license. But alongside that, on the same level as the senior professional educator's license, there's the lead professional educator's license, which also requires an additional 180 hours of continuing education. And they're stated to be on the same level, but having this license shows that you're willing to go above and beyond and being able to better yourself on your own free time, which would just give you that, again, step above the rest. So in conclusion, so what are the benefits specifically to lifelong learning? So lifelong learning is a self-motivated pursuit of knowledge. It improves your mental and physical health. You're looking at a bunch of professional benefits, and then there are only really 3 big skills, whereas they're learning from your mistakes, setting goals, and being able to motivate yourself. And there are several different careers out in today's world right now that typically would require, lifelong learning, which 3 examples I looked into were engineers, SDNA nurses, and K through 12 educators. So, any questions?